everyone.
And we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Warrant Committee. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the attendance for tonight's meeting?
Yes, we have Dave O'Henny on Zoom, JJ on Zoom, Steve Geister is here, Kristen on Zoom, Tom, Lori, Jareem on Zoom, Judy, Steve Rhines on Zoom, Jay, and I believe we have Allison on Zoom. She's maybe having technical difficulties. Can you hear me? We have an Allison there that keeps coming in and out, so
She's probably on her phone.
yeah, maybe.
All right,
So we have a quorum.
and we have a quorum. Let us proceed. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming in. And on Zoom, after all these meetings that we've been having, the Zoom option, I think, is helpful. All right, let's get to it. For tonight, the agenda items that we have is to address and vote the warrant articles. Okay, we had considerable discussion last night with regards to one of those articles that was voted at approximately 11:20 p.m. But I think that the discussions that we had and the resulting vote with regards to that, I think will solidify to some degree, the committee, so we can hopefully get this done tonight. All the remaining articles is the hope. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. Those people at home on the Zoom, refresh the coffee, and let's get underway. Madam Clerk, so let's go like numerically. I see that the first article that we have not voted on is 4. Is that correct?
That's what I
Perfect. Do
have. Capital budget appropriation.
you think we could please pull that up?
I do.
Thank you.
Could I just ask who was on that subcommittee?
Jay?
Who was on
Capital?
the capital?
I was. Oh, Lori.
Were you the only one from the Warrant Committee?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the one.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we had the presentation with regards to the capital budget appropriation. We would like to have any discussion with regards to this budget article. Steve?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and I think Chase covered it when he was here, but the highway or the road repairs, if you can page up a little bit, please. Let me see what it's called, the roadway construction. I wasn't really sure how that, I thought he said that what they did is they're gonna get money in from contractors that are tearing up our roads, and we're gonna do it ourselves going forward. Is that correct?
That's,
That was was that the revolving fund?
that is.
Nick, you wanna just
To the
come up?
table with us. Come join us.
I was just a little confused.
Sure. So that is correct. That is the revolving fund proposal. So that would be new money coming in to a revolving fund that the DPW would control to use for additional road paving projects over and above this appropriation for road projects that's part of our standard rolling 5-year capital plan, where it's usually in the ballpark of $800,000 to $1 million. So it's the 3 sources really would be the revolving fund moving forward once it's formed, if town meeting votes. So this money in the capital budget, as well as the Chapter 90 money, which is money distributed directly to cities and towns for road projects.
State.
So yeah, those will be the 3 big buckets that we use for our road projects.
And somewhere in my reading today, I saw there was 200,000 that was not spent for the last couple of years.
Yes, that's in a road stabilization fund that was set up by town meeting several years ago. I think the intention, if you read the warrant at the time, was to start building up a fund for additional road projects. As far as I can tell, the money hasn't been moved into there in some time. Money's never come out of that fund, so it's just a small stabilization fund that I think was set up with an intention to become something bigger, but that hasn't been done over the last 5 years.
So should we do away with it, or should we try to fund it?
I think it's a conversation to engage in over the next year or so and figure out how we want to address that, or whether it should just be rolled into the capital stabilization fund, since we do fund road projects out of the capital stabilization fund as well. At this time, we're not recommending anything and going in or out, but it's something on our list to reconvene and figure out going forward how we should address that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion from the committee with regards to Article 4?
I make a motion to accept as written.
Second.
And it's seconded, so it's made by Lori and it's seconded by Steve Geister. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Allison, if you're there? Jareen?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, thank you. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, if you could please bring up the next one, which I believe is 5.
We did that.
We did 5,
Hang on.
Mr. Chair, we did that. According to my record, but.
okay?
I have that as done, and
Okay.
6 is done, and I think 7 is the next. Is it?
Miss,
Sounds good.
yeah, it was recommended last night that we do 7 last.
Right.
Oh, did I miss that? I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay, so then I see public safety 10.
okay. Would you please call that one up? Thank you. Okay, so we have before us Article 10, see what sum of money the town will appropriate with regards to public safety. We've had this, we've reviewed this. Would we like to have any discussion with regards to the article pertaining to the public safety budget? I have asked if we wanted to have discussion with regards to public safety. I have not heard a call for discussion under public safety. At this time, I ask, is there a motion from the committee?
I make a,
Judy makes the motion to,
to accept, to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the 12-month period for public safety.
and to accept as written.
And to accept as written, of
Thank you.
course.
Second.
Thank you. And that's seconded by Steve Geister. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Sure. O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Allison? Jareen?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Very well. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
General government, 11?
General government 11. Wait till it comes up, Jay.
Okay.
Thank you. The matter before us is Article 11. See what sum of money the town will appropriate with regards to the general government. The town department classified as general government. Do we have any discussion? I think Jed, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jareem and I were both on this subcommittee. Jareem, is there a part of this you'd like to speak to? If not, I have just a couple things to inform the board of, committee, whatever we are.
I just wanted to know about this. This was the one with the phones being replaced, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Jed?
that's in the capital budget, but that's $33,000 on the capital budget, which we already approved, but that's going to be part of the IT's job.
Right. I just wanted to know how. I was curious to know, like, what type of upgrade is going to happen with these phones? Is it a whole new phone system, or are you adding on to it, or it's curious to know that?
So it'd be a slow but steady replacement of all the physical phones at desks. So it's a total phone replacement throughout all the town departments.
Okay, thank you.
Lori,
This is for next.
right, I think
Right.
we have,
I'm
yes.
So anyway, do we replace, if you're gonna do like a slow roll, I know that we're getting a bunch at once, a bulk probably to do it, but do you have to replace all of them? Or is it just the phone itself, it's not like a new system, it's just the phone?
Yeah, it's just the physical phones that have been outdated. We're making improvements to the system as we speak, as you probably know. If you get in our emails, that our phone lines have been down. So Rob has been working to switch over to fiber on that and hopefully address that issue once and for all. But this is more for just within the buildings themselves and what we use on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Steve Geister?
Yep. So you're getting rid of the rotary phones?
No comments. We're not that outdated.
No, my question was on the line on the Board of Assessors in revaluation. Are we going to reevaluate the whole town this year with that large increase from there?
Yes, every 5 years, the Board of Assessors has to go through and do a full revaluation and recertification of the values that is administered and overseen by the Department of Revenue through their Bureau of Local Assessment. So we're up this year.
Okay.
So they'll be undertaking that work.
Okay. Thank you.
Judy?
If I could ask Nick, insurance general, that includes like, our liability insurances, and is that insurance in any way related to the employees or just for the town?
No, it's our property and general liability insurance. It's our cyber policy insurance. It's our workers' compensation that employees do our benefits of. It's also what's essentially workers' compensation insurance for police and fire. It's called 111F insured on duty insurance. Professional liability for town officials. Public officials liability. There's a school board liability. It also covers the bonds for town employees who need to be bonded.
Okay.
So it's that whole gamut. Auto insurance, everything.
If a member, or even Nick, if you were listening in last night, did I see in one of the articles that we voted on that unemployment insurance was somewhere else also?
Yes, that's in employee benefits.
Oh,
No, it's
yeah.
its own article.
It's its
I'm
own.
sorry. Yep. It's a standalone article.
It's Article 10, so it's up a couple. Article 10.
Would I be able to ask you why we're seeing it in two places? You're double dipping there.
I said workers' compensation. Unemployment is a separate
Oh,
issue, a
separate, my
article.
mistake.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification.
Judy, does that answer your questions?
Oh, yes, it does, thank you.
Great. Lori?
If we, the treasurer position, if we get, if it goes through, that the position will be appointed,
Yes.
is that amount of money gonna cover the salary that you're gonna need to pay for a treasurer? Based upon
That is
questions
certainly
and
a hope.
discussions we've had? But let's be real.
No, that's certainly a hope. There is certainly that's an issue we could face. If you'll notice in the in one of the articles, I forget which number it is, with the Chapter 13 wage adjustments.
Yes.
If we had flexibility within that adjustment to adjust the salary, then we might be able to. Right, but we'll see what we get when we wake up on April 26th
Okay.
and go from there. And it's, there are two candidates, and I don't necessarily have to make an appointment immediately. They can be elected and see how the job goes as well. So there's several options available to us.
Okay, thank you.
Lori, did those answer your questions?
Yeah.
Thank you. Judy?
To Nick, if I could, it's my understanding and some research I did on the treasurer position that even though y'all voted this fancy language in, that once a treasurer is elected, they're entitled to serve their term, no matter what fancy language you all voted in.
Under the statute that was approved by town meeting, the way it works is that if it's approved by the voters, on the day of the election, somebody will be elected treasurer. That person is elected and serves as the elected treasurer until an appointment is made by the appointing authority. So they will be elected, but they could serve a full term, depending on my decisions about that, to make an appointment or not.
Okay, so the state won't control that, just you.
No, it's up to the
Well, I
appointing
mean, I know it
authority.
went under a state statute. But
Yeah, it's under the statute where it's in a different scenario where if it was, not to get too deep in the weeds, but say it was year 2 of a 3-year term for a treasurer, and this was approved by the voters, that elected treasurer would continue to serve the duration of that term until the term was complete, and then it would switch to appointed. So where we have an annual election for the treasurer, that individual they're elected, but then an appointment would be made at some time by the appointing authority to replace that position.
Okay, most likely at the end of the term.
See.
We'll
Yes.
see. Thank you again.
Yep.
Are there any further questions? I think that's-
I just want to inform the committee of what Dream and I
Yep,
learned.
awesome, thank you.
So I'll go down sort of item by item quickly. The general insurance, you'll see a large increase. That is mostly due to, we previously did not carry collision insurance on our cars. We carried liability insurance, but we did not carry collision insurance, so we're adding it. I believe it's safe to say that's driving most, not to make a pun, that's driving most of the cost increase, Mr. Milano?
That's in the range of about $30,000 to $40,000 now on an annual basis.
Okay, because the cost increase is about $150,000 here.
Right. So we're going up about on trend. We're adding the collision cover or the collision coverage as you mentioned, and then there's always an annual audit adjustment for workers' compensation because that's based on claims as well as payroll. So that might be adjusted. So we have to budget for that. And then lastly, we do budget for potential claims and deductibles that may occur throughout the course of a year. So combined, that's how we arrived at that change in the delta there.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to tell the committee the law budget is not changing at all. The hourly rate for our attorney is going up slightly. I asked Mr. Milano why the law budget isn't changing. He said, well, we're hopefully winding up our union contract negotiations, so we'll need less labor law. So they thought that this was going to be fine, keeping that steady. IT, we didn't have an IT director last year. We had an IT, I'm probably going to get the title wrong, an IT assistant. Now that person is now the IT director. But what that means is we saved a lot on salary and wages in IT last year. And I talked a bit last night about how between this and the capital budget, we have enough to cover ourselves for this year, but we're going to need that every year to buy servers and laptops, and I don't even know what a server is, so that's why I was glad Dream was on the committee. Town reports seems like a small thing. Printing the warrants. Okay, so all we see is the total. That's fine. Maybe that'll help us out. Town meeting, some of you will remember 2 or 3 years ago, voted to print a whole lot less warrants. And when I looked at the budget for printing warrants, it was only a little bit smaller. I got to admit, I never got to the end of that. I mean, we're talking the matter of hundreds of dollars. We're talking like hundreds of dollars. Not a big deal, but I thought it might cause some attention at town meeting. Sorry, did someone say something? Okay, so that's enough on that. What else? Real quick. Couple other things. That's fine. Veterans benefits. I asked about this, and part of it is we share a veterans officer with Randolph, I believe. So we have them working half for us and half for Randolph, and the benefits line, most of it is there's state mandated cash benefits to veterans. The veteran is in town, gets those benefits. The town pays the veteran the cash benefits, and then later we go back to the state and we get 75% of it back. So at the end of the day, it is some money out of our pocket, and at the beginning of the day, it's even more money out of our pocket. This has been less than budget for quite a few years, but I asked Mr. Milano, should we reduce the budget since we're always under budget? And the answer was, well, if more veterans move to town tomorrow, we will have to pay them. So it's as in so many places in this budget, it is prudently conservative. That may be all I have to say. Yeah, I think that covers it.
Lori.
You said that the town council's hourly rate is increasing
Yes.
from what to what?
Is it 220 to 230?
210 to 220.
I was close.
And that's for our base costs are covered by our retainer. And then there are categories of additional costs that are billed at that hourly rate, labor council being one of them. The town has also retained the services of a law firm for 40B related litigation and management, and that's a separate firm, separate rates. But those are more kind of as things come up or go away.
And the town reports in 23 were 57,000 versus what was that big jump? 23.
Turn to Amy for that one. I think we just reduced the appropriation because of some of the things we talked about, right?
Sometimes tied to the number of town meetings, isn't it, Nick? I have to pull out last year's because I didn't. I don't know the answer. I'll look if you want to go on to the next question.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm more curious.
Are there any other questions?
Nope.
Hearing no other questions, is there a motion from the committee?
I'll make a motion to accept as printed.
Second.
Oh, I'm gonna hold.
Do you remember the 30,000? I was just answering.
No, we're gonna roll.
We're good.
Never mind.
There's a motion, what's your motion?
My motion is to accept Article 11 as printed.
The motion is made and seconded to.
Second.
It's second by Steve Geister. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call vote, please?
Sure. O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Dream,
Yes, yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next one that I see is 14?
Yep.
All right. This is to see, there's two parts here, so the committee will see that our comments already drafted. I just want to say that's the draft that I did, okay? So people were wondering why is there already a comment? There's not a vast right-wing conspiracy out there to insert language into our warrant. I did that, okay? Be that as it may. There's two parts here. One is, do we extend for 2 years the work of the committee? And the second part is, do we vote to appropriate the dollar amount of $5,730 that they asked for administrative assistance? So the article is in two parts. Would we like to have any discussion of this article? By the shaking of heads, my sense that the answer is no. Is there a motion from the committee?
I make a motion
Second?
So Lori makes a motion to what, Lori?
to accept Article 14 as written to extend the term of the bylaw review committee 2 years to November 3rd, 2025.
Then allocate the money.
And to appropriate.
We're voting on Article 14, I thought.
Yeah, so Andy, this is two parts.
I know, but are we doing two different votes or
I'm
one?
just reading 14.
Well, I think if you said to extend and to authorize, then it covers both.
Well, then, in that case, I will also appropriate $5,730 to the Committee for Administrative Support.
Right on. And it's seconded by Steve Geister. And I think, Tom, you're gonna recuse yourself on this one, right?
Correct.
So there'll be a recusal by Tom, because he's on that committee. So, Madam Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Tom,
Abstain?
Lori,
Recuse.
This is slightly different.
For the record, yes, I do not take any.
Yes.
I'm gonna call her name because I saw her. Allison, are you there?
I don't see her.
I think she's having difficulties. Jareem,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The bylaw committee, if I may, Mr.
Absolutely.
The bylaw committee is meeting now, as we speak, reviewing several hundreds of pages of documents. So I will inform them, thank you, members of the warrant committee.
Oh, so that was the champagne corks that I did.
And not the cheap stuff.
Right. 5,000.
Not with that appropriation.
All we get is Jolly Ranchers. All right.
The fruit punch stuff.
Right. Thank you. Good job. Thank you for all your hard work on the bylaw review committee, Tom. All right. The next one I show is 15. This is the one that's germane to the budget with regards to the several boards and committees. Would we like to have any discussion with regards to Article 15, which is the budget with regards to our several boards and committees? Having asked for discussion and having heard no request for discussion, I'd ask the committee, is there a motion from the committee?
Could you hold for just one quick
Sure.
second, please, sir? May I ask a question
Absolutely.
to
Judy.
Mr. Milano? I see that it's 0 you're requesting for Personnel Board.
Yes.
Could you explain that to me, please?
Sure. So in the past, so several years ago, there was a change in how the personnel board was set up, which changed some of the powers and procedures under the town administrator. As part of that, historically, the human resources director, whose title is assistant town administrator / human resources director, half of her salary was in the select board budget and half of it was covered by the personnel board because she supports their work. We figured it was easier just to roll that into, rather than split her salary between the two departments, just because we always did that. It would just be easier to roll that back into the select board budget, since that's where she primarily works out of.
Thank you.
Lori.
And I don't remember the number, but on Council on Aging, I think in the additional free cash possibly, we gave her another 5,000 as part of that. Is that included in here?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. And do you think, what was there a conversation with John Kiernan, who is the chair of conservation, for his $2,500? That's all he gets. It seems like he might need to take care of some of his conservation land.
That certainly sounds like a conversation we'll be picking up ahead of fiscal 25. We do have a conservation agent, but that department is budgeted through DPW. So there is a consultant for the town,
Right.
but that money's in the DPW budget. In terms of additional monies for care of conservation land, while they do take in some monies in the terms of the budget, there's not much there.
Need better glasses.
Sure.
He did sign off on it. Yeah,
He's crazy. He needs some money.
And I will note in the revolving funds article, there is a Conservation Commission revolving funds article that they take in money from wetlands fees, and they use that to do purchasing and installation of trees and stuff. So they do have some money that they take in and that they put to good use.
And how do we get wetlands fees?
Violations or sometimes application fees. They sometimes charge, if a lot of trees will be removed, they'll charge a fee to applicants as part of their determination of applicability process, and that will generate some revenue for them that they can go use to replace and plant new.
Okay, thanks.
Judy.
Nick, one more question. I'm looking at the free cash tie out, and you broke this down. That was all in everyone's budget, right? Because I didn't see the Council on Aging in this little printout we got, but you.
Yeah, I think it would be included under. I forget how it was categorized, but it's included in there, just not explicitly.
Yeah. Okay.
what was in there, or it's not in the general expenses?
It's in the general expenses. I just didn't see it on the.
On the free cash sheet we provided yesterday,
Yes.
what category it's included under on that summary sheet?
General government.
Yes. No, it's under boards and committees.
Oh, that's the 5,000.
5,000 boards.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Good.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none with regards to Article 15, is there a motion from the committee?
I make a motion to accept Article 15 as written.
Second?
Made, seconded, and clerk, please.
O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Dream,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
10 yeses.
Carries, thank you.
18 then?
Yes, please, thank you.
Public Works.
This is the one that's germane to Public Works. We've had this, we've reviewed this. Would anyone like to have a discussion with regards to the Public Works appropriation? Hearing no request for a discussion, I'd ask the committee, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 18.
Made by Kristen, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Steve. Madam Clerk?
O'Henny.
Yes.
JJ. Steve Geister.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jareen.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Steve Rhines.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
10 yeses.
It carries, thank you.
19.
19 is the Water Enterprise Fund appropriation. Jay had his hand up first.
I just want to confirm, are these the final numbers? As final as anything in this?
If you go down, I just want to make sure you have the same.
Okay.
That's 7620399?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. These are the final numbers. Steve Geiser, did you have your hand up?
My question's answered because there was just a zero on the retained earnings, and there's a 250 number in there now, so
Good.
it makes sense. Thank you. I just had an old copy.
Any further questions or discussion? Tom?
Have a motion.
Motion. Say your motion.
Motion to accept the article as written and appropriate $6,950,399 to the Water Enterprise Fund, and the same amount in $600,070 to be included in the appropriations from the general fund for indirect costs, and then be allocated to the Water Enterprise Funds for funding. Now that sum of $7,620,399 be raised and appropriated as follows, as listed in the warrant on the screen.
Thank you. Is a motion?
Now, the 670 is going to the general fund, not from the general fund.
Did I state that incorrectly?
Or I misheard you incorrectly, which is really the only way to mishear someone.
Well, I would,
Okay,
that's a reread, but Mr. Chair, my motion is to accept the article as written, which is currently before the committee.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Steve Geister. Madam Clerk?
O'Henny.
Yes.
JJ.
Yes.
Steve Geister.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jareen.
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
Steve Rhines.
Yes.
Jay.
yes.
It carries. Thank you. Article 20, sewer. Would we like to have any discussion with regards to the sewer enterprise fund appropriation? Steve?
I just have a quick question on the retained earnings. 2 years ago, we had 176,000, and we had 0. Is there, what's the logic behind that?
Sure. Thank you, Amy Dexter.
I'm sure there's a reason.
For fiscal '22, it was budgeted at 0, similar to '23 and '24, but it was a very wet summer,
Okay.
and sewer is tied to consumption, and we didn't collect as much in user fees as anticipated, so it ate into the retained earnings.
Okay, last year was very dry, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Tom?
I just wanted to ask, and Amy, I probably should have kept you up, and maybe you can answer from there. Just the sewer inflow mitigation, it went up 100,000, so similar to Steve, is this something that, the increase, is this something we're gonna see slowly as we move forward?
I'm gonna pass it back
Okay.
to Nick.
Thank you, if you can.
Yes, that's so most of the capital outlay you see in the cost side of this equation is typically inflow and infiltration mitigation throughout the sewer system. So we don't offset that full amount of the capital outlay. So this year we're just increasing that offset to rely on those funds. That balance is strong. So over the next few years, we may try to draw that down a bit just to offset some of the rate burden that sewer users.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion from the committee?
I move to accept the article as written.
Thank you, Jay.
Second?
Second by Steve Geister. Madam Clerk?
O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Doreen,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
It carries. Stormwater. Would we like to have any questions or discussion with regards to Article 21, the Stormwater Enterprise Fund appropriation? Hearing no call.
Can you just
Go
wait
ahead.
one quick second
Judy.
while I just review these numbers quickly
Sure.
again? They're all getting somewhat jumbled over the 2 weeks we've been doing this. Thank you.
Satisfied?
Yes.
Hearing no request for further discussion or questions, is there a motion from the committee?
Motion to accept Article 21 as written.
Moved by Lori, seconded by Tom.
Before you vote, I think there's a typo.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
See that 961, 726?
Yeah.
The article itself is fine, but the recommendation, those three numbers, 961.
Should have changed.
Yeah, so it should be 1034478. It should match the table.
10, say those again, 10.
So in the text right there,
Yes.
that should be 1,034,478, which matches one of the subtotals in the table. I missed it when I updated.
Geez, a whole new comma. I don't know.
Now we have to work on Saturday, huh?
Thank goodness.
Okay.
So let us review again in one more moment then.
So what's on the screen is correct. Is that what you're saying?
It is now.
Nick just fixed it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Based upon that, would we like to have any further discussion? Do we have a motion on the table as written?
As written on the screen
As written on the screen.
versus the paper elsewhere.
Right.
That's fine with me.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Dream,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jake.
Yes.
Carries, thank you.
21, 22. Oh, I must be missing notes. Could you tell me what the vote was on 23?
Yeah, I think we did 22 already.
We did 22, 23, and 24.
What was the thing on yes for 23, please?
Yes and yes.
Thank
I
you.
think it's 25,
I do too.
health and sanitation. Would we like to have any discussion? Are there any questions with regards to Article 25, health and sanitation appropriation?
I would just like to know why it's called health and sanitation.
Well, they enforce the sanitary code and all the umbrella of work related to restaurant inspections, homes, perhaps with orders and those kinds of issues all fall under the sanitary code, and the health director, Caroline, is a registered sanitarian as well, so.
Steve?
Yeah, can I just ask a question? It's a pretty significant increase from last year to this year, very significant. Just want to understand why.
Sure, I can, so I'll just go in order in the categories. So salary and wages, it's an increase of about $73,000 for the community health social worker that had been funded by ARPA for this year. She has a year's worth of salary funded by ARPA. So that position has been absorbed into their budget moving forward. And general expenses, there's 3 different components of that. The first is they have a number of applications and permits that are required. So they've moved to an electronic permit system called Permitize. So the fees to get that up and running and for the first year were covered by an ARPA project. Permitize is also the same vendor that we use for our building permits, as well as DPW is transitioning there as well. So all starting to move to the same entity for all these permits. So this going forward, this will be basically our new level budget for to absorb those costs for each additional year. There's also an increase of about $6,500 for their engineer that they use occasionally. It had been being paid out of a revolving fund, but it really should be reflected in the general fund. So we made that correction, and then just in terms of some additional costs to maintain their licenses, the sanitarian license that we were just talking about, and others for their staff, were the general expenses. And the last component is the opioid settlement expenses. So we talked a bit about this in the context of that $155,000 that we were talking about potentially appropriating for opioid settlement purposes. That's money we've received so far in this fiscal year. That money will close to free cash as of June 30th. So we'll wait to do that. That money will close out to free cash, be in next year's certification, and we'll appropriate that out at a future town meeting for the opioid settlement under presumably the Board of Health, but maybe elsewhere, but that will be done at a future town meeting. In fiscal 24, we anticipate, based on the settlement breakdown and calendar, a minimum of about $75,000 in revenue to the town. So we're moving that appropriation under the Board of Health so that they'll have that ability to start putting that money to work for the eligible expenses, which include supporting treatment, supporting prevention, supporting intervention on all those sorts of opioid use disorders here in Milton. So that's that big $75,000 bucket.
So if we did get up, let's say $150,000 from that settlement, would that all go into the opioid, or would that go into the general fund and be used wherever?
So the $155,000 will close to free cash. So in theory, it's just in that big bucket of free cash, but we are legally required to spend it for those eligible uses. So town meeting still needs to vote to appropriate it. So we'll do that later. The $75,000 estimate is about what we anticipate to bring in 24. It'll be a little bit higher, but we're still waiting for some additional information. So each year, it'll be in that ballpark. And then after a certain amount of years, certain settlement payments will drop off, so it'll start to decline slowly but surely over time. But we'll be getting a minimum of about $30,000 up until 2038 a year, plus for the next 6 to 10 years, it'll be higher than that for a good while.
Thank you.
Judy?
You caught my curiosity when you said the Board of Health needs some money for engineers, and that is to enforce some sanitation issues, perhaps?
I will have to defer to their narrative, but if you give me one moment, I will pull it up.
Is that the septic consultant?
Yes, thank you.
Great title.
So for anybody with septic, there are certain requirements that the Board of Health is the enforcing agent for. So they'll use those professional services, and it varies year over year and fluctuates. So they're using an average, the last 4-year average for the budget.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions, Lori?
Couple things. So the opioid settlement was 155 last year, this year currently, and
Correct.
it's going down.
Yeah, so the way it was structured is the agreements reflect prior years, but those payments, the settlements didn't start to roll out till this year. So this $155,000 that we received this year, I think is technically the first 4 payments under the big settlement with the distributors and Johnson & Johnson and one other company. So going forward, we have that money, and then we've just agreed to join the settlement for Walgreens, Walmart, Teva, Allergan, and I'm missing one of them, CVS. So that'll boost up the money again that will be received to Massachusetts municipalities as well.
I saw a number, I don't remember where, but it was about the opioid settlement, like 740,000, and it was probably a few years back. I don't know if that's.
No,
Is that related to
that's
this? Or is that the total settlement?
That's the total that we'll receive from the distributors one. If you give me a second, I can pull up the totals. It's a big number. So from the distributor and Johnson & Johnson settlement, it's $740,000 being paid out between essentially fiscal 23 and fiscal 2038. The average is about $35,000 a year, except for these big chunks, the catch-up payments that we received this year. And then the Walmart, Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens settlements, it will total $593,000, and those will be paid over various timelines: 6 years, 13 years, 7, 10, and 15.
Okay. And then the other question is about the, can we go back to your screen? That has, sorry. So I think you said that we have moved an ARPA-funded position into the general fund.
Yes.
Budget, and then, so the 385 will be recurring going forward now?
That would be their new base for their staff.
And the 29,000, that will have the extra cost for permitized, et cetera?
But those will be recurring as well.
So just even getting them up and running, it's an ongoing fee?
So the permitized was paid to all the upfront costs
Yep.
to get them up and running were paid out of ARPA. So
Okay.
it's like $13,000 in the 24 budget. That is the recurring cost that we should expect going forward.
Okay. All right, so that budget will go up substantially going forward as a baseline.
The 385 plus the 29 should be the new.
Yes, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? With regards to Article 25. Health.
No, clear my throat.
Health and sanitation. Is there a motion from the committee? Judy?
I'd like to make a motion to accept as written, Article 25, to see what sum of money the town will give to the health and sanitation.
Thank you.
Second.
Steve seconds. Madam Clerk?
O'Henny?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes. Yes.
JJ?
Yep.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Last connection.
It looks like it's frozen.
She's unmuting, I can see that.
Yes.
There we go. Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
I think Amanda's with us. Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
And let's try O'Henny again.
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
It's 11.
Carries, thank you. Article 26, library. We'd like to have a discussion. Are there any questions with regards to the library appropriation? Hearing none, I'd ask, is there a motion from the committee?
I move we fund the library budget as shown on the screen.
Second.
Sorry. Dave, can I speak to this?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Yeah, so I was on the library committee with Judy and Amanda, and we just, we talked to them, and I think everyone can agree they do a great job there. And sometimes you're the victim of your own success. They basically they make a lot go. They make their budget go a long way, and they were just talking about the needs that they have. It's been about 4 or 5 years where they're looking for extra help in their requests, and it hasn't been funded. And they said that it can be seen in the lack of, they put together programming, but especially for children, there's a demand for more programming. So I just wanted to put that out there for the record that these positions haven't been funded for 4 years, and it should be taken into consideration. That's all.
Thank you, JJ. Lori?
Did we funded one, Nick?
Yes, the part-time position at about $20,000, $25,000.
And I have a question for JJ, or
What do
who
you-
else was on the committee?
Yeah, okay. Jim?
I have a
Yeah.
question for the committee. I know that they had said they had huge volumes of people going through, and you just said, JJ, that they wanted more programming for kids. What kind of programming do they do for seniors? Do you know?
I don't know the specific answer to that. I do know they do have programs for them, like they bring in speakers. And I think they have art nights too, but I don't know any specific, I don't have a specific answer for that.
Jay has something you would like to-
Amanda's raising her hands.
Well, I'll defer to Amanda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. They have a number of programs. A lot of their daytime programs, they're not specifically geared towards seniors per se, but I think that seniors are the other large group who takes advantage of the programming. So they have everything, as JJ was saying, from art classes to there's walking groups, book clubs. There were gardening. There's book gardening programming. They had like a musical, they had like an Irish music group one Saturday. So those are the two, I think the two bookends of, I guess, of, you know, if you will, of the population who really takes advantage of it. A ton of kids programmings that get signed up for instantly. And then the adult programming, of which they're always instantly filled as well. So having the extra bodies would allow them to add on additional sessions that families could take advantage of that don't then pull away the rest of the staff or other members of the staff to then be able to manage that programming, especially when it's small kids. As you can imagine, that takes a lot.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I had a call with Will Adamczyk yesterday, because I specifically told him, I want to know about the positions you're asking for, and I specifically want to know how they affect seniors. So he told me, first of all, Sarah Trong, the second in command of the library, she's on the board of the Council of Aging. He thought, okay, maybe she's not a board member. Don't quote me on this. Take it for third-hand information. She's on the board of the Council on Aging, and her being on that board has led to them working together even more. They cross-pollinate. They make sure not to duplicate. They work together. He talked about several programs that they do together, Council on Aging and the library. He said they provide magazines to the Council on Aging. He did say, so the half-time position is going to be more focused on the youth. That's the position that's being funded. And I asked him about the other position you asked, and he said that other position would have been a full-time outreach and reference librarian. This is not currently funded in the budget we have in front of us. And he said 3 things that new person would have done for senior needs. First of all, outreach to senior living communities. Currently, they go to Home Inc. and Fuller Village at least once a month. If they had this additional person, they would add Winter Valley, they would add Unquity House, and they would do more at Fuller and Home Inc., more visits to Fuller and Home Inc. The second thing this person would have done is during the day programs for seniors, because they have programs in the evenings for adults. Adult arts and crafts, painting, they have speakers, they have movies, they have concerts. What they've heard from their surveys of their users is that seniors want those adult-oriented programs during the day, not in the evening. And if they had gotten this person, they would have been offering those programs during the day. The third is called Library or Doorstep, for people who cannot get to the library, not only seniors, but certainly including seniors. It's what it sounds like. They come to you with the books that you want instead of the other way around. This exists currently. They worked with the Council on Aging previously, I think especially during COVID, but Council on Aging, as we've heard, is very busy. So now this is sort of catch as catch can. They do it as much as they can. If we had this full-time person coming on, they would be in charge of this. He said this is a growing need. And that's not the only thing this person would have done. They would have been a reference librarian. They would have been on the tech training team. They would have expanded the evening adult programming. But I asked specifically about senior services, and that's the answer I got.
Thank you. That was great.
Lori.
I'd like to ask Nick a question.
Sure.
Could you share with us your thought process for not funding the position?
The full-time position? Sure. So we did and when we were evaluating the needs on the town side, we did try to identify positions that would be a little bit more flexible in case this funding was not made permanent. So that's why we looked to the police department, where they have a good amount of turnover, and we felt that that might be a place where we would be able to, if we weren't able to keep those 2 positions, we might expect additional retirements throughout the year that we could then dial back that department. For the library, similar thing. A part-time position would be a little bit easier to walk away from than a full-time position. And those decisions are hard, but I think it's also in consultation with departments to say, do you want to post a position that's something of this nature that could be full-time, that is not necessarily guaranteed funding going forward. So that was part of the conversation, part of the approach that we took when I was talking with departments.
Jay.
In my conversation with Will yesterday, I laid it out to him this way. I said, well, if we hire this person, you've got 1 year to convince the taxpayers they want to keep this person, because there might be an override next year, and you've got 1 year to convince the taxpayers they like these additional services. And he said, well, I keep stats of how much we do, and I personally know the limited value of providing statistics to people and getting them to agree with you. But, I told Will, if this person is hired, they may or may not be around a year from now. And I'm certainly not going to speak for him and what he thinks, or you, or anybody, but so there.
Thank you.
Would we like to have any more discussion? Are there more questions? I'm interested to see if we might have a motion. What motion would we like to have? I'm sorry?
James, can you move to approve this?
Did I? Well, if I did, then we're discussing the motion, I guess.
We're discussing the motion? Oh, so
Seconded.
Okay. I'm looking at Lori, wondering if Lori's going to make an amendment. I don't know. Don't want to rock the boat here.
I'm not going to make an amendment.
Neither am I.
there being a motion on the floor having been seconded, is that it? You want to?
No.
Yep. There having been thoughts of an amendment, those thoughts not coming to fruition, I'd ask the clerk to please conduct a roll call vote.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Yes.
Oops. Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
There's a chance Allison is with us. Allison? Yeah, I saw her there. Dream?
Yes.
Amanda? Amanda?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't unmute.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Carries as written, thank you. Okay, the next one is the Article 27 with regards to authorize the select board to sell the Kidder Branch Library. Mr. Milano, would you like to give us an update with regards to the status of that situation?
Sure. We have provided a purchase and sale to the attorney representing Discovery Schoolhouse. They have come back to us with comments on that purchase and sale, not giving away much, but saying that the purchase price in that is $500,000, which was what their offer was. If you recall, their offer also included a right of first refusal for the town if Discovery were to ever sell the property. So most of the concentration is just tightening up that language on the right of first refusal for both parties, as well as the typical back and forth process that happens on these kinds of agreements. We touched base on it with the select board last night in executive session. Don't have a final approved purchase and sale yet at this point. Moving towards having one at their April 4th meeting for them to approve. So at this time, we would not have a P&S to present to the warrant committee for you to review, to offer your thoughts and feedback on. So that's where things stand.
Thank you, sir. So, Tom?
Oh, no. I prefer you.
I think at this point, so we're right on top of, we got to go print on the warrant. I think at this, as the board to consider, we can discuss, decide what we want to do. I think at this point, we don't have the signed P&S, we don't have a recommendation from the select board. It might be premature for us to engage in a vote on this under these circumstances because we do not have the information that we would need in order to make an informed decision. We could consider a no recommendation at this time. We can continue to meet. So if there is a P&S, we would expect, I think it sounds like they're close on this thing, but after the select board has it, after that April 4th meeting, we can reconvene And we would have plenty of time to engage in a full and open discussion and debate at that time. And then we could go to town meeting with a recommendation. Thoughts? Sure, Tom.
As to what the chair proposed, I think that would probably be the right way to proceed at this time. And I do have a follow-up question.
Sure.
Mr. Milano. Mr. Milano, I asked you some questions about this last time you presented on this. And I think this is a rather easy question, but in terms of the resale back to the town in the clause in the deed, they will sell back at market rate, I assume, correct?
So we're working out exactly how that would work, but the nature of a right of first refusal would be they would go get a bona fide offer, present it to the town, give the town X number of days to exercise our right, and that would be at the value of that offer. So it would be the market value of whatever they agreed to some third party.
Okay.
So we would just be intervening in the sale, essentially, and to take ownership back at that point, if that's something the town wanted to exercise.
Steve G.
Yeah, not having any of these details, why are we not pulling this article out of the warrant? There's precedence for that, for sure.
That would be the select board would do that. So procedurally, that's the why. I think it could. But at the same time, if they pull it, then we couldn't take it to town meeting. So we can have a recommendation between now and then. So I think it gives them the option.
It gives them a blank check is what it gives them.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm going with this argument. It could come back, it's $100, and we gave them a blank check. It could come back as $500,000, which is the number I've seen thrown around, but we don't know. I think we should get the details before we vote on the article.
That's kind of, I think, what my recommendation would be, is that we give a no recommendation at this time, because we do not have the information that we would need. It would be important to have it go to the select board and see what their recommendation is.
And based on Allison's comment, and I don't know this building, I've never been in it or anything, but is it a possibility we could put a small school there if we're not going to build the big luxury, $150 million school?
It's tiny. It's tiny.
It really is very small.
These are all things that we could discuss.
What's that? Okay, that's more than I thought.
I'll take it right back.
Okay, Steve had the floor.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm okay. I don't know the property, so I'll go back, drive by tomorrow and look at it. But
okay.
I just know from what Allison said that it's a possibility we could put a small elementary school or a small kindergarten school in there.
Okay, hold on. It was. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
Steve
sorry.
had the floor, and then I think it was Judy, then Tom, then Lori. Thank you, Judy.
I don't know if this is out of scope right now, but did the town ever consider purchasing this property itself, seeing as it
is.
and give the proceeds to the library trustees?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No, we're not keeping the cash. It's gotta move somewhere. Don't get your eyes on those cash. But in other words, at the present moment, it is being rented with the rent proceeds, the proceeds going to the library fund at the moment. So in the event the town wished to purchase this property to keep as town property, that for the same amount of money, the money would go to the library trustees, fulfill the Kidder Trust, which you want to fulfill people's trusts, and then continue to rent. In which case, now the rent goes to the town. You see that slip? Like the casino? I don't go there, but I don't know.
6 months, I can say I have personally not been a part of a conversation to that. I can certainly bring it back to the chair of my board and let him know it was a question we received at the warrant committee meeting, and something we can prepare for when this group does reconvene when to take it up.
Sort of keeping on that same track, not moving from it. I believe the planning board was not involved in all of these discussions about what kind of land and buildings we really do have in town. And I did not talk personally to anyone on the, to the town planner, Tim Zawinski.
Yep.
And there was no discussion. Perhaps the town should acquire this property for not letting any more of our property out of Milton, if you know what I mean, the town. So I guess I might add that
No,
in.
I will include that on the.
A little comment on a comment on a comment.
Sure. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Tom?
I have a motion.
Were you heard? Did you want to be heard, Lori? I thought it was Judy, Tom.
Yes, but I don't think I have anything actually. Oh, I think I was just gonna answer Steve about, I don't even know.
Okay.
I think it's only big enough like for a couple of like classrooms, it's not that.
All I know is from what Allison said.
Yeah.
I remember going there when it was a library and I could walk there and I liked it because it was little.
Tom has a motion.
Sorry.
Tom.
And maybe as to the motion concerning the Kidder Library and the sale of the property, as it appears on the screen, I would vote for a no recommendation from the warrant committee at this time.
Second.
Seconded by Steve.
Can I ask
Nick,
just a
sure.
clarification? So recommend that the warrant committee does not have a recommendation, or that the recommendation is to vote no?
That was a little ambiguous.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. Thank you for cleaning it up.
And I'm sorry.
No, it's my interpretation is that our vote would be that it is that we are not making a recommendation at this time. So we could state that as we have no recommendation. This would not be that we are affirmatively recommending no, because we are not engaging in a full-blown discussion, though it sometimes feels that way. We're not debating, having a full-blown discussion with regards to the merits of this, but we're just deciding essentially to deal with this later. But in light of the fact that we need to put something in the warrant, we'll put this in as a kind of a placeholder. Judy.
So if we do not receive any supporting documentation or information about this, are we saying it's good to go at the town meeting, or are we saying, whoa, step back, we don't have it?
So right now, it's in the warrant.
Yeah.
So right now, it is a matter that will be addressed at town meeting. It's in the warrant, okay? The question, because this is a question that needs to be answered by the townspeople, okay? So it'll be in the warrant as a matter that will be addressed. You know, our publishing deadline is almost to some degree, it's almost artificial. Like, what's important is the town is on notice that the matter will be addressed. Our comment and our recommendation to them, we're giving them a formal recommendation at this time, so they get from us a recommendation. We're giving them a recommendation. Our recommendation is no recommendation at this time. But if the materials that we are looking for come and we can engage in a fruitful conversation about this and we can have a vote, it would be our intent to do so. I think it would be everyone's intent to do so. I believe that everyone involved, the select board, the Discovery School, would have liked for this to have been wrapped up prior to now so we could vote. It just didn't work that way. Okay. So we will give it the time that it needs. So the motion was made and seconded that we would have no recommendation at this time, which means that we are not giving a recommendation affirmatively yes or affirmatively no due to our inability to have the debate. Any questions about that? Hearing none. Madam Clerk.
O'Henny?
Mr. Chair, just, sorry, one point of clarity. Was Tom's motion no or no recommendation? I heard no, and it was clarified as no recommendation.
Tom, you're
being called on. Yeah, if I was inarticulate about my motion, just let me clarify now, Mr. Chair, and to the members of the committee. I'm asking for simply that the committee make a no recommendation at this time, and not vote on the substance of the motion currently before the committee, and simply ask that there'll be no recommendation this time, and if we are furnished with further information, that we would, if so allowed, to take it back up by the chair.
Go ahead, does that answer?
Thank you, Member Caldwell. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will vote yes for no recommendation at this time.
Thank you.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries. There will be no recommendation at this time with regards to the Kidder Branch Library. Thank you. Article 28, cemetery appropriation. Steve G.
Yep, so I was on the committee and I talked to Lisa Ahern, superintendent over there. And there was a couple issues that were kind of open at the last meeting we had, and I wanted to clarify those. I mean, their budget essentially is flat, so there's no issue with that. And a little bit of an increase was just from the salaries and wages and contracts. But there was she came to us for $30,000, I think, to have a gas tank put in there. She found the money in one of her revolving accounts, so she didn't put that in the budget. And the other thing, the house that we kind of debated quite a bit on, so the $40,000 went into it. They have a leaser come in on April 1st, $5,300 a month. And yeah, that's why I said, I'm gonna rent my house tomorrow. I think it's only 2 bedrooms, $5,300 per month. And I don't, and.
Is it Milton Academy? Do you know?
No,
I was about to ask.
I know, is it
But is it a-
Milton Academy?
Oh, I don't know, good question. I didn't ask her. I was gonna ask her if I go take a tour of it.
It's a Milton Academy family, but that has children in Milton Academy.
So they're not teachers there. They're not employees of Milton. Well, sorry, we don't need to get in these people's personal life. I'm sorry.
But anyway, so.
They're just not sending additional kids to the schools, but, you know, with us paying the taxes is kind of the answer to that.
And $40,000 of that money she takes in for rent, or the cemetery takes in for rent, will go into the revolving fund to keep the house maintained and keep making it better, I guess. And then whatever's a balance, it's not going into the revolving fund, goes into the general fund, which is not a lot of money, but so that was kind of a lot of debates last year on the house and everything. So anyway, and it, you know, like I said, I think the budget is fine. So I make a motion to approve Article 28 as depicted in the article.
Seconded by Tom, made by Steve, seconded by Tom. Madam Clerk?
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jareen?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries, thank you. Article 29 is parks. would we like to have a discussion? Are there questions with regards to parks? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the parks budget in Article 29 as written on the screen.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
O'Henny,
Yes.
JJ,
Yes.
Steve Geister,
Let's just mark him absent. That's okay. I don't think it's gonna.
Kristen,
We don't know how the vote's gonna go.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dude, you're so.
Lori?
That's
Yes.
right.
Dream,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Steve. Just in time.
Yeah, he clenched it. Article 30, after a spirited debate last night, and I thank the committee for their perseverance in the face of a challenge. 30 was voted as written. 31. We have votes on 31 and 32 previously. Next, 33. The school building committee appropriation. Would we like to have a discussion? Are there any questions with regards to the school building committee appropriation? Hearing no. Just look at that, the draft recommendation.
I move we approve the
Right.
motion as shown on the screen.
Jay makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Jareen?
It was Steve Rhines.
Steve Rhines made a second. Discussion, Steve.
Yeah, I just have a question. So if the town votes down the land transfer and votes down the eminent domain, is it the intent of the school building committee to continue on and try to find plan C or D or E, whatever it is at this point? And I guess I'd like to have a little bit better sense of what $275,000 is going to. If we got approved for the school, we knew where it was going to go. I can understand all the prep there, but and they spent $40,000 over the first 4 years. Is 275 a realistic number, or way more than what they need? I mean, if we're not going to hire architects because we don't know where we're putting the school, it certainly doesn't make sense next year to spend $275,000 on site prep and architects. So.
Amanda's raised her hand.
Amanda.
Thank you. Excuse me. My understanding from the meeting the other day with Sean was basically saying that if it did not get approved by the town, then essentially all of the work, or repeat, however you want to put this, the work that they did would now need to be done by other people that we would have to hire, because that committee was all volunteers, and at this point they've exhausted their resources, I think, as he was saying, and their options, and then we would have to hire somebody to look at options to address the overcrowding of the schools. So whereas they were all volunteer hours, we would now have to pay someone to do the exploratory work that they did. At least that was my understanding from the meeting the other day.
And I'm trying to go through my notes, just for purposes of the discussion, I'm trying to find in my notes. Mr. O'Rourke did give us a breakdown of some of the things that they were going to itemize that at for architects, structural, geotechnical, traffic studies, I think, because there had been concerns with regards to Route 28, traffic studies, contingency studies. So there was a breakdown of how he got to some of that, was my recollection. Steve?
Yeah, so in the article, it says preparing detailed plans. We don't even have a site, so I don't know how we do detailed plans. I guess specifications we can start working on, kind of get a sense of how many classrooms, working drawings. I'm not sure that makes sense until you have a place you're going to put it, or is it going to go inside of a building that already exists? Is it going to be add-ons? Is it going to be, brand new from scratch? It seems like a lot of money for where we're at in the process. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Stephen.
You have Penny, Amanda, and JJ.
Okay, let's go to the Zoom people, because they kind of seem to, right? You said Amanda. Let's go to Amanda first, please. Thank you.
Oops, thanks. I just was looking at the notes that I took the other day, and the breakdown was essentially the BSC work resurveying was $25K, $150K for architectural services, $25K traffic studies, $25K stormwater, $25K geotechnical services, $25K landscaping, and $25K contingency for whatever. Right, I don't understand my note there, but that was the breakdown of the 275. If that helps.
I'm sorry, who is next on Zoom?
O'Henny.
O'Henny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Member Serio. Sorry about that noise. So I wanted to follow up because I think Member Geister brought up a point, Mr. Chair, that I think is important, and that is what will the school committee what will the school building committee do with the funds now if the vote goes another way? As I recall it, I think based on some of the building expertise of Member Ryan's, there was a pretty good discussion around what would happen. I think we established fairly well that should the vote be should the school not be funded and the site should the town not go against what the work committee has recommended, that more funds would in fact be needed to continue the work to find the next location, that the cost would not go down, but in fact it would go up. In fact, I think we estimated this to be a fairly safe, as Member Fundling often said, conservative estimate of what would be necessary, counting the man hours that have already been invested to get to this point. So I don't know if other people recall that, but I recall pressure testing and pretty much coming to understand from Mr. O'Rourke that these costs might even need to be increased to be able to move forward with a new school site.
Thank you, Member O'Henny. Was there anybody else on?
JJ.
JJ.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd also just like to say that the school building committee has been in operation for 4 years, and no matter what you think about the actual site, the actual work that they did over that 4 years, given the $40,000 that they had, was very impressive in my view. And I think that they demonstrated that we should be able to trust them. And so I think that should also be a factor in this vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other Zoom people? No. All right. Lori, did you have your hand up?
I did. So is there a motion?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I made the motion.
You made the motion.
Jay and.
So we're in discussion stage.
So I thank the folks on Zoom that clarified some of the components of what would have to be undertaken. And I think they're all valid and they have done a tremendous amount of work over 4 years. I too would commend them that they spent $40,000 over 4 years. I think that we don't have a vote, so I'm concerned about voting close to $300,000 and we don't know the outcome. I do think we should give them something, but not $275. And I think that until we know what has to happen, there'll be another special town meeting very soon in the fall, I'm sure, because typically there's one in the fall for zoning. They're currently at the school committee tonight asking for an appropriation to do the valuation on the conservation lands. So if we give them a smaller amount today, it keeps them running for a period of time. And then if they need more money immediately, again, they could go back to the school committee where they are today, and we can appropriate in the fall, would be my recommendation.
I think I'm gonna go Steve and then Jay.
Okay.
And then Allison. Steve, G, then Jay,
Yeah, I
then
mean, why
Allison.
would you do a traffic study and spend 50,000 or whatever the number was for a traffic study when you don't even know where the building's going to go? Some of this stuff doesn't make sense. It's way ahead of time. If they approve the land swap in the dominant domain, then that's a different story. But we're just giving them a blank check to spend money. Maybe we can write it into comments that if those two get, and we would recommend a much smaller number. But I don't know how that works. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Jay?
Okay, so no matter which way the land swap vote goes, they have to hit the ground running. This time is of the essence, whether it's they want to start getting this land ready to build a school on it, or whether they want to start the whole process over. Sean O'Rourke seemed to think that might take 4 more years to find another site. So they need to hit the ground running. They don't need to be hobbled until another town meeting, another special town meeting, another special town meeting. We're not giving them a blank check, mostly because in all of these appropriations, in every single part of the budget, it has to be prudent. It's not just being spent on cotton candy. It has to be spent on something prudent, appropriate for the task that we're assigning it to. We had when looking at Gow Road site, neighbor said, "Have you done a traffic study?" And the answer was, "No, not yet. We don't have the money for that." So if they do look at Route 27, 24, 20 something, they'll want to do a traffic study for that. That costs money as soon as possible. So I think they need to hit the ground running no matter which way, and the money's going to be spent prudently. It's not just.
Allison was next.
I think that I agree with Lori. I think that we give them, I know that people love to use the word trust, but I think that they come back to us and they've easily gone to school committee and can itemize and kind of give more of a breakdown where we can really start going into categories of where the money is being used architecturally, landscaping. I mean, landscaping, can be a variety of things. So, I mean, I think we need to see kind of the whole process through. That's our jobs as the Warrant Committee, to serve the town in the best interest. So for us to just use this big amount of money and not see anything, we're not doing a service to the town. They did extremely well, and I commend them on what the funds that they've used. But we have a right to see the process through and see as they can go through the process, the plans, and be really fully part of it. We're basically saying, hopefully they come back, and I'm sure that they will. But at the same time, we have an obligation to sit there and see it just as much through the process as they are going through the process for the amount of money that we are putting towards the town for this. Thank you.
Lori, you had your hand up again.
Steve
Rhines and JJ.
So you're putting it back down. Steve Rhines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a couple quick comments on this. So I think when Mr. O'Rourke was presenting, he was trying to establish a baseline of projected cost of services that we will incur as a town as they start checking out these properties, right? So he also alluded to the point that they researched 2 other spots, probably many others, but 2 we know about, Quanpon and Guile. And they did so leveraging many subject matter experts on that committee for about 40 grand, and they exhausted all of that money. So that's actually pretty impressive what they did, right? So sitting on a neighborhood association, as I do, I know that all these neighborhood associations are going to ask them for traffic studies. It's going to be front and center for all these guys. I also think that when we start looking at these projects, they're going to have many gates they're going to have to go through to make this thing go, right? They're going to have to come back before the warrant committee. They're going to have to go through many areas to get it approved again. So it's going to take a long time for them to make this happen. It's without a doubt. It's probably 4+ years. So I do understand why they're asking for this money. It does seem to make sense for me. I think he's laying out a projected cost for what they anticipate as services incurred. Thank you.
Lori's hand is back up.
I'm remembering now. So it just piggybacks on what Jay said, and Steve, thank you for that comment. I think the problem is if we appropriate the money today, 275, and we go to town meeting and it gets approved, they're gonna do a traffic study for the Parkway in Canton Ave, and it hasn't, and if it doesn't get approved, where are they gonna do the traffic study? So they shouldn't just run out and do the traffic study on Guile or on the Parkway. They shouldn't do it on Randolph. They don't know where to do it until we have a different plan. So I guess it's, again, I'm not suggesting we give them zero. I'm suggesting we give them some money, just not 275, until we know what the next steps are. And again, I will say that they are asking the school committee to help fund the valuation on the conservation land. So if they're able to get that, we can come in after the fact in September or October, whenever the fall town meeting is, and appropriate more.
So are you making an amendment?
I'm gonna make an amendment to appropriate 80,000. Not 40,000, they did a great job with that yeoman's work, very much appreciated. 80,000, we're doubling it, and they have money to use tomorrow, well, not tomorrow.
I second the amendment.
So there's an amendment to recommend 80,000 instead of the 275, seconded by Steve Geister. Would we like to have discussion of the amendment?
There are some hands up. I'm sorry.
There are some hands up. Who?
JJ and Amanda.
JJ, please.
Thank you. I think what Jay stated is really the crux of the problem. Time is of the essence. I remember the discussion we had when we discussed funding or trying to build in the Guile Road property, and I don't think anyone said that they were voting against the new school. Some people proposed trailers. You know, besides safety issues, also there's logistics issues. Kids can't, you know, there's no more facilities, there's no bigger cafeterias, right? So that's not a permanent solution. I mean, it's a temporary solution, and you know what? If that new school doesn't get built on Guile Road, we're gonna have trailers for the foreseeable future, and they're gonna be bigger and more. So when people voted, they voted, no one said, I'm voting against the new school. Okay, so if we're not building it here, where are we building it? And before, what some members have said against the Guile Road thing was there's no traffic study. We don't know anything. But now we're saying, school building committee, please go out and find a new site, but we are not gonna give you money to do a traffic study. Randolph Avenue was proposed as a viable new site, but we're not gonna do a traffic study on Route 28? And a traffic study is $50,000 per Shore and Aurora. we're gonna leave after that traffic study, $30,000 for the school building committee to do the rest of their work to find the site for a new school. Is that what we're proposing here? Because I don't think that's feasible. I don't think we should be doing that. I think they've demonstrated over 4 years that they can be trusted to spend money. And we should trust them with this money. Because if we don't, we are just kicking the can down and down the road over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you, JJ. I saw Steve Ryan's hand up. Steve Ryan's, is your hand still up?
It is just a quick question. So I'm looking at their operating costs, run rate numbers. So last 4 years, they've operated on $40,000, right? That's $833 per month, approximately. That they're funding the research to build a school that's going to benefit the entire town. I think what they're asking for, if we spread it across the costs, the operating costs, what they're going to need to do, the expertise level, I mean, this makes sense. Thank you.
What make?
I'm sorry? You wanted to follow up?
Well, Steve said this makes sense. I'm asking what makes sense,
Yeah,
the
so
higher
Steve-
number, the lower number.
Steve,
Well,
Jay has a
it
question.
makes, yeah, I heard him. The 275 makes fiscal sense for me. Understanding what he needs to do and that team needs to do, the ask is huge. Getting traffic studies in place and complete at the right time of year so that they're going to stand up when people start asking questions is critical. I support the 275. I think it's a reasonable ask for what they're looking to do.
Were there any other Zoom people?
We have Amanda and O'Henny.
Let's go to Amanda and then O'Henny, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would agree with Steve as well. I think I just get
Which
concerned.
Steve? We have two
Steve
Steves.
Rhymes.
Thank
Steve
you,
Rhymes,
Annie.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Nope.
I agree with Steve. With the comments about the cost, I think I get concerned when we suggest numbers and we've been given an estimate by professionals in the field and people who have been doing the work for a significant amount of time. And we're being told that this is their estimate of what the work would cost. And I do understand the idea of that they could go back, but my concern is it's March now, and then we're talking about the fall. So again, that it's losing time. And everything that he's saying is these are costs that they would begin to incur right away, regardless of which direction we're going. If the school gets approved, they need to start working right away. If it does not get approved, or the land swap doesn't get approved, they need to immediately hire somebody to begin to do the work to find a new location or explore the options that were brought up. So I'm in favor of voting for the full amount and not the amended amount.
Thank you, Amanda. O'Henny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I agree with what Member Rhines and what Member Serio have said here. The question that I have is on the amendment, the 80,000. As was outlined, Mr. O'Rourke outlined the cost very clearly. Are we clear on why 80,000? Which of the items do we think are not necessary? What's the 80,000 intended to fund? Is it just a random number, or is there? I just want to be clear. If Member O'Connor can clarify, is there not the Stratford study, but these 2-3 things we think are necessary? Just to have more sense of what we're voting for.
It was not 40, which they used for 4 years. They had the availability of, and they used it very prudently over 4 years. I doubled it. There was no rhyme or reason. I think 275, I don't think they are going to engage, I would hope, on the 26th of April with anyone to spend the entire 275. So again, it would just, I think it's prudent of us to not fund fully until we know what the plan is or where we're moving, what direction we're moving. Maybe it's not 80, maybe it's 100, but it's, in my opinion, not 275 today. Once we have a plan, I'm good, but we don't have a plan.
Were there any Zooms left?
No, not right now.
Steve G.
I just have a question for Nick. Do we have a traffic engineer in our budget for this year coming up? I know we talked about it, but I don't remember if it got approved or not.
As part of the public works budget, we put some money for traffic engineering consulting rather than bring on an employee.
And that can be used for any particular project in town.
Correct. Broadly, traffic projects specific, not necessarily specifically, but one of the main reasons we're asking for it is to deal with some of the traffic issues that we're facing, not so much to be engaged for, development type projects, but to be working on town projects to help us figure out some of those issues.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion on the floor. It's an amendment. So the vote now is the motion on the amendment. The amendment is that the school building committee budget be appropriated in the amount of $80,000. Does anybody have any questions what the vote is?
Can I speak?
Jay?
Okay. Yeah, just one point of clarification is there was discussion, again, I oppose the amendment. I want the full amount because they got to hit the ground running. There was discussion of the fall town meeting. I just want to clarify that for the past couple of years, and I think for the foreseeable future, the fall town meeting is in December because it used to be the third or fourth week of October. And now, as I've heard the town clerk describe it, the town clerk has a lot to do when a town meeting happens. And with early voting being such a thing now, the town clerk, I've heard them say to the select board, I really can't do it at the end of October because that's when early voting is. And then you've got normal voting. And then you've got Thanksgiving. And so really the fall town meeting, I think, is going to be in December as far as we can tell. So again, I think we need to hit the ground running. I don't think any sort of delay is prudent. So I oppose this amendment.
JJ has.
So close. JJ!
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think we can have a plan without having sufficient funds. And I don't think the numbers proposed is enough. Sean O'Rourke was pretty clear in what the funds would be used for. And the way that the school building committee has only spent $40,000 over 4 years is, as many people have said, by using their subject matter expertise for free over time. And they are tired. And they want to hand that work off that they were doing for free. They have to pay someone now. Because when you work for free and you have another job and you have a family, you are not going to be able to produce a plan in the time frame that we needed. So, by saying that we are going to wait to fund until we have a plan, we're not going to get a plan until, who knows? We need the money to get the plan. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion, any questions? We're going to touch gloves, go to our corners, and when we hear the bell, we'll come out swinging. Will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Could you clarify the yes or no? That's always my request on everything.
Is to 80. The yes is to 80. Roll call vote.
I think we have Emily now.
Hold on. Did we just get Emily? Emily,
No, she's been here for a while. This is the
Emily,
first
did you hear
votes.
the discussion?
Yes, she's been here. We had her. Emily?
No.
O'Henny?
No.
JJ?
No.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes.
Dream,
No.
Amanda,
No.
Judy,
Yes.
Steve Rhines,
No.
Jay.
No.
I see 6 yeses and 7 noes.
I concur. So the amendment does to 80,000 for the for the school building committee budget does not carry. There's a motion on the floor. The motion being, as I recall, please correct me if I'm recalling correctly, is to fund as written.
Jay and Steve.
Would we like to have any discussion? Are there any questions with regards to the motion, which is as written? Tom,
Chair, could we make an amendment to the language of the motion?
we can,
No.
You can comment on it, right?
well,
We can, or,
we can make we can make a change to the language of the recommendation. Let's talk about that. What kind of,
well, I mean, I just voted, I clearly, you know, I see the points of all sides here, but, you know, I'm just thinking for clarification, you know, my concern is I just want to clear the town meeting. You know, I raised this kind of on our previous votes about the land swap in terms of consistency. I just like to, my dream would be to have some language in there, be either the current property that's currently being studied or any other property.
Mm-hmm.
Seems, you know, just kind of giving town meeting, it's like, well, we haven't decided on this, but the money that we're asking you to allocate to the school building committee is, you know, just to clarify, it's either for this property that you just approved, or it's for some other property that's deemed suitable by the school building committee. So not really the money amount, but it just kind of is clarification to the town. I think some of our intention, or maybe that's more appropriate for the comment. I would defer to more senior members.
my sense of the language here with regards to the recommendation that goes to like with what the money's for, my sense is we should be as broad as we possibly can be, so that because I think one way of looking at sort of what's potentially being asked of the school building committee is kind of to start over and look at all options. And in my sense is, and that's part of the takeaway that I had, is that they're saying, look, we've looked at this for so many years. We looked at all the options. You want us to go back and look at it again. We're going to have to hire professionals. They're going to charge us their hourly rate. I'm not going to sit here and presume to be able to lay out the scope of all the possible. So I think my sense at this time would be to leave the language as broad as it possibly can be, so that they, in their discretion, as they move forward, are authorized to do what they need to do. It's almost a completely new project at this point, almost. I think that's what he was saying, and that, you know, if we're going to ask the people to follow on and take over from where this was, they're going to be professionals. They're going to be charging a much higher rate than, you know. So that's for your consideration. So where are we at?
Motion on the table, still
Where's the motion
discussing.
on the table?
Yeah, made by Jay, seconded by Steve.
Made by Jay, seconded by Steve.
Perhaps ask if, just for clarification only, if anyone anticipates any more amendments.
Yeah. It's
For
that's a good question.
clarification.
Is there an amendment on the floor? Or from the committee? Is there an amendment?
Waste of time.
Not hearing an amendment? Not hearing a discussion? or any questions? Madam Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
And clarify.
And
you know.
to clarify, it is as written. The dollar amount is the 275,000. A yes is yes to 275,000.
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
No.
Kristen?
No.
Tom?
No.
Lori?
No.
Allison?
Nope.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
No.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
7 yes, 6 no.
I concur. It passes as written. Thank you for your hard work.
BRB, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry?
BRB. I need to be excused for a few moments.
LOL.
Thank you. Oh,
Okay.
I can't sit this long without some movement. BRB. I see I'm learning all this about these phones. You have to give me credit for that.
Next on the agenda, 34. Blue Hills Regional Technical School appropriation. Do we have any questions or comment? Steve?
Just wanted to know what the increase was from. It just, is it more students going there?
Yes, it's 51 right now. I think it was 40 flat, 42 currently.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Great. Any other questions? Tom?
Yeah, Mr. Milano, you may not know this. Will somebody from the representative from Milton for Blue Hills be at town meeting to present? Historically,
Sometimes they have, sometimes they have, more often than not, they haven't.
and I just ask that because of the large increase. I expect some questions, and they're usually a lot sometimes as they concern Blue Hill School from town meeting. So that's just a recommendation. I think Blue Hills is great. I think it offers great opportunities, technical education, and I typically always support the budget. But like I said, I'm not just flagging this.
Appreciate that.
Historically, when there's big increases, people have questions.
Okay, that's helpful. We'll, they did send us a budget book, but obviously that's something we have, but not available necessarily. Maybe it's on their website. I can't speak to it, but thank you for those comments. We'll reach out to them. Just give them a heads up.
Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Any need for further discussion? We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Emily?
Did we pass
Yes.
the motion?
I'm sorry?
I don't think we passed the motion, did we? Did we?
I move to,
Did we never made a motion?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
We didn't. All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move to fund the Blue Hills Schools budget as is shown on the screen.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so Jay made it and Steve Geister seconded it. Can we please do the roll call vote?
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Allison? Check that with her. Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Let me just check one more time. Allison?
And we can mark Judy as absent. Next, so that carries. Skin of our teeth. Consolidated facilities, Article 35. Do we have any questions, discussion with regards to consolidated facilities? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Lori makes a motion.
Second.
Steve Geister seconds. Madam Clerk, please.
Emily?
I just want to make sure the motion was to approve the number listed, correct?
Yes, to approve it as written.
Great, thank you, yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Allison? Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries. Thank you. 37, rescind unissued debt authorizations. So we brought this up the last time. We didn't have the numbers. We have the numbers.
Yes.
Yes.
So these, as part of our annual article for the Chapter 90 appropriation, we do authorize it as debt in case we don't receive those reimbursements in time. We need to bring the money in through a debt issuance. And each of these fiscal years, we do not encounter that situation, so that money can all be rescinded for the items listed. The sewer system rehab, one listed is one of the MWRA programs where we bring in 25% as a loan, 75% as a grant. So the figure that would be rescinded is the 862.5, which is 75% on that one. And then for the Randolph Ave sewer project, this was authorized anticipating a significant number of people would sign up for the sewer extension, which did not happen. So the project was smaller than anticipated, and that full amount was not necessary for the project. Got that right? So that's the items here. So these would be rescinded. We're carrying them currently as authorized but unissued debt on our books presently.
Are there any questions or discussion? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve Article 37 as written.
Steve Geister seconds. Madam Clerk, please.
Emily?
Yes.
Hold on a second.
No, it's fine.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries. 38. All right. Stabilization fund appropriation. Are there any questions, discussion? Jay?
I would like to say to the chair that I urge the town administrator and the town people to, set as clear policies as possible for how we should fund the stabilization fund. And I've heard the town administrator that he also wants that. So I'm hoping that the warrant committee can be a part of any discussions of any financial policies that are set.
Thank you for that comment. The warrant committee shall make the town administrator so aware.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the comments, and I agree. Thank you.
Lori?
I would just concur with that as well.
The concurrence will be made to the town administrator as well on behalf of the warrant committee. Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion with regards to Article 38, the stabilization funds appropriation? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 38 as written, the stabilization fund.
As written.
As written.
As written. Is there a second?
Second.
Steve
Second.
Geister. To the vote, please.
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Carries.
Motion carries. 40, reserve fund appropriation. Does anyone have any questions? Discussion, Article 40, reserve fund appropriation. Jay?
Mr. Chair, I remember we started out with money in the reserve fund this year. We added more money to it in the meantime, and we're told this is used for, unseen contingencies, and that the warrant committee is the one that approves it. That's maybe one of the only powers we have. Mr. Chair, do you know if we're going to be using the reserve fund? The what you call it money this year?
The reserve fund money?
Is it reserve fund? Yeah, reserve fund.
So at this time, for the most part, I'd say where budgets are tracking online, we do anticipate we'll have some transfers at the end of the year. We do try to fund transfers from other budgets if possible, and sometimes one line within a budget that whether it's a salary line or operations line might be high, one might be low, and we can transfer between those with approval of the select board and warrant committee. So there will be some year-end transfers. Whether we will tap into the reserve fund itself remains to be seen at this point. But I don't ask about fiscal 23. There's nothing specifically at this point.
Nothing that I'm aware of. Obviously, we'll need to do something with snow and ice, but we'll try to manage it within what we have into a reserve fund.
But one of the reasons we did put additional funds into it at the December town meeting, if you recall, is because of our concerns over the winter heating season and where costs were going to go, and that did not come to fruition. So we were all grateful for that. The prices we had to pay, we were just back in the regular utility market, and prices came down over the course of the winter for gas, and it was not a very cold winter. So on that front, one of our big concerns going into the winter, thankfully, was not was unfounded.
Jay, does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any other questions? Hearing no further questions, no further discussion, is there a motion with regards to Article 40, reserve fund appropriation?
I'll make a motion to approve Article 40 and put $250,000 into the reserve fund.
Steve Geister seconds. Vote, please.
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries. Next, 42, Authorize revolving fund expenditure limits.
I just didn't.
Mr. Chair, if I could interrupt you,
Please.
not to be that guy, but if we could go back to Article 41, which is the DPW revolving fund.
Yes.
I had an oversight when I reported it to you. We did not present to you a request to set an expenditure limit for that in the first year, which is one of the required components of that vote. So if you can see, I have highlighted a expenditure limit of $250,000 in the first year. And again, this is for that paving one, which we don't really know kind of where this would land. We certainly can only expend money we take in. And so we're requesting a limit of $250,000 if the warrant committee would be okay with that, part of this recommendation.
Are there any questions with regards to that, Article 41? So I think what we would need to do is to make a motion to reopen our vote on Article 41. Let's do that first, do a motion to reopen our vote on Article 41.
I so move.
Okay, Jay moves to reopen. Steve Geister, let's please take a vote.
1 second.
Take all the time you need. We're moving fast.
Based on the new. Steve seconded?
Yes.
Emily? Emily? JJ?
Yes.
Oh, I skipped O'Henny. I'm sorry. O'Henny?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen? Kristen? Come back to her. Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jareem?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
And let's just check back. Emily?
Yes, sorry about that. And just a heads up, I might have to drop off in a few minutes to put my boys to bed. So just in advance. But yes, I am a yes on that.
And O'Henny?
What was it?
Yes.
Okay, carries, it's open. So now we're back at 41. There's been the issue now is to establish a limit of $250,000 as it is now written. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Jay moves to recommend a yes as written.
Second.
Steve Geister seconds. Can we go, excuse me. Can we go to the vote, please?
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jareem?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Carries.
Carries. 42. Authorize revolving fund expenditure limits. Any questions or discussion with regards to the authorization of the revolving fund expenditure limits? There, hearing none, is there a motion from the committee?
I move to vote as is. Yeah, yes, as is.
Jareen makes it, Steve Geisler seconds it. To the vote, please.
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori? Oh. Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Lori, did you want to vote on that one?
Oh, sorry, is that the next one? 42?
Yes?
Yes.
It carries. 44, PEG access and cable-related fund appropriation. Do we have any questions or discussion with regards to the PEG access and cable-related fund and appropriation? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move again to vote yes, as is.
Dream. Steve G, to the vote, please.
Emily?
Yes.
O'Henny?
Yes.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Dream?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
It carries. And lucky 7, employee benefits appropriation, which we saved the best for last. Jay?
I've got a 45-minute presentation on employee benefits.
Yes.
Which I will not share with you right now.
What?
Jay, you send that along.
I will share that the health insurance is the largest part of this. The health insurance premium increase this year was 0. That's based on the claims as they've been running. So it's a slight increase from last year because it includes things like payroll taxes for Medicare. I don't know what else off the top of my head. But the medical premium is not increasing. So that's good for us. It's good for our employees who pay approximately 25% of it. And there's one more thing I would like to say to the chair, because all comments are directed to the chair. I would like to thank the financial staff of this town, because especially on this article, I sent them at least 101 questions, attempting to turn over every stone I could and kick every tire I could. And essentially all of those, not only was Amy Dexter on top of it, she was 3 steps ahead of me. So I was extremely impressed, and I'm glad that not only that they put up with all my questions and all the questions that they will be receiving from me in the future, but I'm seriously glad that our town's finances are in such good hands. So I would like to move to accept Article 7 as written.
Is there a second? Steve, guys?
Second.
There's a series of seconds. So thank you for that, Jay. And coming from you, I think that is quite a compliment to have been given. It is moved and seconded. Is there, could we please do the vote?
Emily? Emily? O'Henny?
Yes. Thank you, Amy.
JJ?
Yes.
Steve Geister?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jereen?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Steve Rhines?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Carries, thank you. All right. And it's only 9:34. Good job. So we voted our recommendation on all of the articles with the, in the warrant. I'm gonna be taking on a lot of the drafting over the next couple of days. So people that I've reached out to ask for things, please get them to me. We have, the meeting is posted for Saturday. It's Saturday Zoom. I think it's sort of just as a just in case. I think my plan at this point is we're probably not gonna have it. So expect not to have it. I think what we'll do though is we'll wait to cancel until like the last possible minute. It's Zoom, so that we had done it purposefully on Zoom so as not to overburden personnel from the town and from the Milton Access Television in order to, to keep our profile low and to put the least amount of requirements on other people. I believe that we will not be meeting at this point. We will not have to. But just in case, I'm going to keep it open and just pull the plug on that at kind of the last possible minute. Okay? Does anyone else have anything that they want to discuss? Steve Geister.
So we wouldn't meet again until town meeting unless some of this information comes in for a couple of warrants?
I think we need to be prepared to do Kidder.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. Okay, so think your thoughts. I think we'll just be keeping, all eyes. We know that the select board's going to be meeting on April 4. So in all of the downtime that we're all about to have, and when you need that meeting fix, right, you can always watch the select board.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can watch recordings of the select board from past meetings too.
Or this is a phone that contains podcasts. Just so.
Oh, or Jay's podcasts. You could put them on Play Next because we just don't get enough of this. All right. So I'd like to thank you all. So thank you to the town. I think coming from Jay. So thank you to the town, and then to the warrant committee. There's a saying, no plan survives contact with the enemy. I really had no idea how we were going to get through the votes on time. We are a younger warrant committee. We have a lot of people here who haven't been on the warrant committee before and hadn't been on a lot of boards and committees. So we're new, but we're a lot less green than we were when we first got here. And so I think that this committee did a really good job of getting up to speed and getting through this, and that there was a lot of adaptation, and there was a lot of growth. There was a lot of conflict, but such is the nature of things. We are all human. We are, right? And so I think that even though, that we definitely had some moments, I think that at the end of the day, those were handled well, and we're coming out stronger for it. So thank you to the warrant committee. Is there a motion?
All right.
Sure.
A message from IT.
Oh, please, yes.
I forwarded you all an email from IT about setting up your email accounts and multi-factor that. His phone number is there and his email, if you can get in touch with him. And that went out tonight. That's it.
And that's for real. If you don't do it and you use the town email on a certain date, you're going to be unable to do so. So that's a for real thing. Okay, thanks. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Tom makes a motion to adjourn. Is it seconded? Is there any opposition to the motion?
Second.
It's seconded and fourth. It carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.